Daf Kuf Tes Zayin Amud Beis will begin Kuf Tes Zayin Amud Aleph, 2 lines from the bottom. Ima Shalom the Beis of Rabbi Eliezer Achter Rabbi Gamliel. Ima Shalom, the wife of Rabbi Eliezer, who was the sister of Rabbi Gamliel. Havia Hau Philosopha Beshivus. There was a certain philosopher in their neighborhood. Davashakal Shma Dulam Mekabel Shaykh. They had a reputation that he didn't accept shaycha, briberies. Boy lachuchi beis. So Rabbi Gamliel and Ima Shalom wanted to prove that, to show that he really was taking shaycha, to prove that he was deceitful. So what did they do? So she took a golden lamp and she brought it to him before she came. They pretended they were having a din tire, and she brought this golden lamp. She said, she said she wants to take a portion, she wants to divide the father's estate, her father's estate, and she wants a portion of it, she wants a chelik in the Yerusha. So she said to them, to Rabbi Gamliel and to Ima Shalom, divide it, that she should get a portion of it, that she should get a chelik. Rabbi Gamliel said to him, how could that be? It says in the Torah that if there's a son, the daughter does not get a Yerusha. So he said to Rabbi Gamliel, Min Yoima Tigalisin Ma'arachon, it's not as a rice of the Maisha, Sifra Achrisi. From the time after your Golas, the Sefer Torah, the Torah was replaced with another Sefer. And it says in that Sefer, that a son and a daughter share equally, they divide equally in the Yerusha. So he accepted this, philosophy accepted this bribe, the golden lamp from Ima Shalom, and therefore he decided in her favor that she should get a chelik. The next day, Rabbi Gamliel brought a chamraluba, a Leuven donkey, which is very expensive, and he also pretended to give him a bribe. Omer lehu shvilas l'seifa desifra. So then he said, but look to the end. Previous day he maintained that this other sefer replaced the rice of the Moshe. He said, yes, but look at this end of the sefer. And it says over there, I'm not coming to add or detract from the Sefer Torah. And it says in the Sefer Torah, in the Sefer Moshe so if there's a son, the daughter doesn't yerish him. So she said, Ima Shalom said to him, let your light shine like a lamp, meaning as a remez that she had given him that bribe. A donkey came and kicked over the lamp. So everybody understood that this philosopher was, even though he had a reputation that he doesn't take shaykhid, he in fact was corrupt and deceitful, and he was influenced by bribes. So the Mishnah said, why don't we read in the Ksuvim? Because Mibnei Bittul Beis HaMedrash. Mibna in Kairim, because of Bittul Beis HaMedrash. Omarav Lo Yishanu B'Zman Beis HaMedrash. This, that they don't read from Ksuvim, that is for Bittul Beis HaMedrash. That is, that, as we explained, that they used to give the drosha and used to say over halachas in the drosha to the tzibur, and they wanted to make sure that people attended the drosha. It was important to give them hadrocha and to show them and teach them the halachas. They didn't want them to be preoccupied in learning and learning ksuvim, so they said it should not be read. So therefore he said, Lo Yishanu B'Zman Beis HaMedrash. That's only at the time when the drosha is being given. That's only prior to the afternoon meal, when the drosha is being given. Aval Shaloi B'Zman Beis HaMedrash Karn. But if it's after that time, then you could learn from ksuvim. You could learn from ksuvim after that time, because the drosha is not being given anyway. But if Shmuel says, Shmuel says, even the rest of the day, this Isser of leaning Suvim still applies. How could you say that? That Nahardo was the region of Shmuel. When Nahardo and in Nahardo they would lane psukim from Ksuvim by Mincha time, and Shabbos Mincha they would lane psukim from Ksuvim. So how can you say that Shmuel said the whole day, even after the Suda, it's also rather, the pshat is as follows. The Rav said that's only the Isser of laning Ksuvim is only in the place of the Beis HaMedrash, in the place where the Drosh is being given. But if it's not in the place of the Beis HaMedrash, then you could learn and read from Ksuvim. Shmuel Amar bein Beis HaMedrash, bein Shalom Beis HaMedrash. It doesn't make a difference. Bisman Beis HaMedrash and Karim, at the time when the drosh is being given, even if it's not in the place of the Beis HaMedrash, when the drosh is being given, it's also Shalei Bisman Beis HaMedrash Karim. But if it's after that time in the afternoon, then you could lane from Ksulim because the drosh is not being given anyway. And this Shmuel follows his own opinion. That in Nahardo they used to lane from Psukim and Ksuvim by Mincha, Shabbos Mincha. So that's one approach. Ravashi Amar Loilam Karamikar. He said, no, it's like we said originally. And that Shmuel said that even in the afternoon, even Shalei Bisman Beis HaMedrash, that we say that ain't Kairim. Shmuel and Nahardo, they used to lane from Ksuvim Shabbos Mincha. Loyal Karamikar, Shmuel Kirab Nechemia, and Shmuel, who said that it's also even in the afternoon, was not going letamei. He was not saying that to explain what he held and how he passed it. He was explaining the shita of Nechemia. This is how Taisus Mefarish it. He was explaining the shita of Nechemia. He himself held like the Tana of our Mishnah, that the reason for the Isser is Bittul Beis HaMedrash. And therefore Shmuel held, if the reason is Bittul Beis HaMedrash, therefore it's only also at the time when the drosh is being given. But in the afternoon, when the drosh is not being given, it's mutter. And that's why in the Nahardo, where they followed the shitas of Shmuel, they laned Ksuvim by Shabbos Mincha, because that was not the time of the drosh. This that Shmuel said, Afilu Shaloi Bisman Beis HaMedrash Ein Kairim, that was explaining the shita of Rav Nechemia, and Rav Nechemia who holds a completely different reason for the Isser of laning Ksuvim. Ushmuel Rav Nechemia the son really learned, Afal Pisham Kisvei Kaidish Ein Kairim Behem, the Tanakhama said, even though we said Kisvei Kaidish Ein Kairim Behem, that they don't lane from Ksuvim, Aval Sheina Behem, but you could learn the Torah Shabbal Peh involved in from these psukim, and the darshan Behem, and you can darshan from the psukim. You don't lane from them, but you can darshan Torah Shabbal Peh related to these psukim. Nisel the pasuk maybe kara, and if in the course of the drasha, in the course of the limud, you have to reference a pasuk, you can bring the ksuvim and read from them. Rav Nechemia says no. Why did they say that it's also to lane from Ksuvim? It's not because of Bittul Beis HaMedrash. It's a completely different reason. It's Kedei Sheyamru B'Kisvei Kaidish Ein Kairim Kol Sheken B'Shetred Yoises, that people should say you can't even lane Ksuvim. Certainly you cannot read documents. You can't read stories. So they wanted to reinforce the Isser that the Chachamim made, that you can't read stars, you can't read documents. So they answered even Ksuvim. People should say, well, even Ksuvim is also. Certainly it's also, stars are also. And that's the reason. Therefore, since that's the reason, it doesn't make a difference if it's in the morning or in the afternoon. It's irrelevant. If you say the reason is for Bittul Beis HaMedrash, that's only relevant at the time when the drosh is being given. That's in the morning, in the afternoon, after the Suda, they didn't give the drasha anyway. Because it was after the Suda, they didn't pass in halachas. But Rav Nechemia says the reason is not because of Bittul Beis Medrash. He says it's to reinforce the Isser of not reading Shtaros. Therefore, it doesn't make a difference in the morning and afternoon. The whole day is also, and to that's what Shmuel is referring to. He said even at the time in the afternoon when there's no drasha, even at the time when it's not the time of the drasha, because he was explained Rav Nechemia Shita, but he himself didn't hold that way. So Rashi seems to be mashma that the Isser of Shtaros, that the Isser of Shtaros is not only business documents, it's even private letters. Taisus takes issue with this, and he says it shouldn't be involved with personal letters, and personal letters that might also be in Yonim of Pikuach Nefesh that he has to read from. It's related strictly to business documents, and he seems that Rashi was chayzer from his original psak on that, and this is the discussion and debate of the Rishonim and the Paiskim. To what extent is this Isser of the Shtaros, of reading from the Shtaros? Now, nowadays, we don't have this Isser of leaning from Ksuvim, because we hold like the Chachamim, the reason of Bittul Beis Medrash, and nowadays that it would not be so applicable, because the custom is that we don't paskin halachas necessarily in the droshes, and therefore it's not negea so much nowadays. But it's very interesting that even though we don't have these droshes, and therefore the isser of leaning suvim is not negea nowadays, we don't aser leaning suvim and darshan from suvim, but the Tzafnat Paneach, it's very interesting. It says that we have the minhag in benching that we say during the week, we say Magdal Yeshuis, and on Shabbos we say Migdal. And he says that the reason is that it pertains to this discussion over here, and this original Isser of Ksuvim, that Magdal is in a pasuk in Ksuvim, Migdal is a pasuk in Nevi'im. So we want to point out and show that Davka, that on Shabbos we don't learn from Ksuvim. That's how it came about that we use the pasuk of Migdal, which is in Shmuel, and not the pasuk of Magdal. We don't use the pasuk of Magdal, which is in Tehillim. Let's see weiter. Zok the Mishnah, Matzil and Tegas Heifrim Masechet. We discussed about saving the Kisvei Kodesh from Rachmanis on the fire. If the Kisvei Kodesh happen to be with a tik, together in a container, you can save the tik as well. The tik of tefillin, ima tefillin, and the tik of the tefillin with the tefillin. They can also be saved together. And even if there happens to be money inside, you can also save it. Even though normally you don't put money in your tik of sefer tefillin, if there happens to be, for whatever reason, it was done by Isser, or it was not designated specifically for this form of the tefillin, the money does not have to be thrown out. You can save it as well. To where can it be taken? It cannot, as we mentioned earlier, cannot be taken to Rishus Harabim, but it could be taken to a place where otherwise it would be an Isser D'Rabbanan to carry. So that is L'movi she'ena mefulish. So the Tanakama says that it's a movi that's not open on both ends, and Ben B'Sei Roimer afla mefulish, even to one that is mefulish, and the Gemara will discuss this machlekes. We're now bringing in a halacha of Korban Pesach, which on the surface does not seem to be connected to our Mishnah, but the Gemara will make a limud and a learn out from this Mishnah and relate it to our Mishnah. If Erev Pesach falls out on Shabbos, so on Yud Daled ben Nisan Erev Pesach, the Korban Pesach had to be shechted, and then you have to be makriv. Now, even though it's Shabbos, you still makriv the Korban Pesach. The following machlekes is a machlekes: to what extent do we permit a person to do the avodas that he normally would do for the Korban Pesach, being that it's on Shabbos? So they would skin the animal up until the chest. They would have it suspended, head down and feet up. They would skin it from the feet down, and it would come, how far can they skin it? To the chest, not the entire body. only Ara Chazet, till the chest. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel Benoy Shel Rabbi Yochanan ben Bruka. That's what he holds. He said that even though normally you skin it completely, but being that it's Shabbos, you only do what's necessary and not more, only to the chest. The Chomraim Mafshita is Kula. Chom say no, you can do it completely, entirely. So Bishlam the Rabbi Shmuel Benoy Shel Rabbi Yochanan ben Bruka, we understand what he says. So because all that's necessary is to skin it to the chest. Beyond that, it's not necessary. Up until the chest, there you can now cut and remove the emurim that you need to be makriv on the mizbeach. The rest of it is not necessary. The basar will be eaten at nighttime. So that is not necessary to skin it now. You'll skin it in the nighttime and then roast the meat and eat the meat from the Korban Pesach. What's necessary for Gavoya to makriv on the mizbeach is for the emurim, so it's sufficient to skin it to the chest. So that we understand. El Rabbanan, my time, but why did the Rabbanan say that you can do it completely? Why should we be matter that? The Pasuk says in Mishlei that whatever Hashem made, He made for His covet. Meaning, they use it as an asmachta to learn out that it's not covered for the korban, that it should not be skinned completely, and therefore, since the Torah was matir, the hakrov of the Korban Pesach, that it's mistaber that it was matir to be doing it in a kovedik way, and that means skinning it completely. What is nagei here, the lamaneh for the koved Hashem? Why is skinning it completely the covet for the Rebbeinu Shalom? Rav Yosef Amar Shlo Yasriach, so that the meat, if he doesn't skin it, the meat will start to spoil and start to have a bad odor. In order to ensure that the meat didn't, it would have to have air. If it was not skinned completely, it would be covered and insulated, and through the heat, it would start to be masriach. So therefore, it's not covered for the korban of the Rebbeinu Shalom that the balsa should be masriach. That's why it's skinned completely. Rav Amar Shlo Yikadshe Shemaim Atil V'Kenavela. He says a different reason. He says this is a Kodshe Shemaim. It shouldn't be like an avela. An avela is something that it's partially the skin is partially removed. It's partially not. It's in a disgraceful state. Here also that part of it is skinned, but not completely. It looks like a discarded, disgraceful nevela. So therefore, it's not covered for the korban. My benai, where there's enough gemina, it's put on a golden table. If it's put on a gold table, so it doesn't look like a nevela. So it's not lacking that covet, but it's still, the meat is still covered. It still could be masriach, so that's enough gemina. Iname yoma distana, or a day where there's a north wind blowing, which is a cool wind, and therefore it won't be masriach. So according to the Tam, whether it'll be the Tam that it shouldn't be masriach, it won't be masriach because there's a cool wind, so it shouldn't be a concern. But according to the Tam, that it should not look like a nevela, it should not be left in disgrace, that still would apply, and therefore it would have to be skinned. What does he do with that pasuk? How does he apply it? That is he applies it to the extent that you should skin it at least to the chest. You should not remove the murim without skinning it at all. You should be mafshir to the chest, and therefore it doesn't interfere with the removing of the murim, but not more than that. But the Kol Polish Maneo teaches us that it is permitted to be mafshir it until the chazah. My timer, why is that important? Why is that for the covet of the korban? Amar Rav Huna Breid Rav Nosson Mishum Nimin, because if not, when he cuts out the murim and pulls it in, the hairs from the hide will get stuck onto the murim and it will look disgusting. So therefore, it's sufficient for as far as the murim are concerned, which are marked on the korban, to be mafshir until the chazah to the chest. But more than that is not in this. But that much is called Paul Hashem, L'maneu.